Hi everybody, it's Pam with Silver and Sparkles, and I am back with part 2 of our Flippy Flappy Folio that we constructed in the last video. So, if you haven't watched that video and you want to make one of these, you're going to want to go back, and I'll have it linked in the description, and watch how to construct the folio out of your 12 by 12 cardstock, and then come back to this video because now's the fun part, and we're going to decorate and add the designer papers to it. So again, this is what we're making. It's just a fun junk journal style folio with pockets and flaps, and then this little gatefold here, and I made this one using some buttons from my vintage button collection, and it's got all kinds of pockets and stuff for you. I also, on this original one, I used my vintage family photos paper kit to make it kind of like a scrapbooky kind of folio. So I'll have those paper kits linked for you in the description. This is the Summer Elements paper, and that's the one I chose. Use any paper you have, okay? Make this a project that you'll enjoy and want to use, okay? I also will have my freebie that coordinates with my Summer Elements linked. It's been out for a while now, but in case you haven't grabbed it yet, you can pop over to buy me a coffee and get one for free, okay? And I have a couple other freebies up too, so make sure you go check that out. All right, so let's have fun. So the designer papers you're gonna need, I'm gonna have a list of your measurements for you in the description. And instead of like reading them all off to you here at the beginning, just as we go, I'll tell you the measurements of each piece. Now, I did not go through and decide, ooh, this paper is going to look pretty with this paper. I just started chomping them all up. So we're going to hope that how I choose to lay this down, we like at the end, because I have no idea. Anyway, we have 4 pieces that are cut 7 3/4 by 5 3/4 inches. And again, don't worry about if you can't read what I wrote on the back to remind myself, because it'll be in the description. So these 4 pieces are going to layer on this front cover, both the outside front cover, the inside front cover, and then we're also going to layer one on this back panel here, and then the very back panel. So I'm not going to sit here and overthink this. I'm just going to start gluing mine down. And I'm not going to worry about inking the edges on this one. If you decide you want to ink yours, you know, do that before you glue it down. It's a little bit easier, but I'm just going to leave it today the way that it is and decide which direction you want your paper to be. So I am going to use my art glitter glue. I was trying to decide if I was going to, you know what, today, I used the art glitter glue for the construction because I did not want it wiggling on me at all, and it grabs really quick. But to do the designer papers, I am going to use my other favorite wet white glue, which is the Line Co. PVA glue, and I've just put it in my little precision bottles. And if you need or want to see any of the supplies that I use, that'll be linked in my Amazon storefront for you in the description if you need some supplies, just to get an idea of what I use, or if you need something, okay? And if you do click on that and purchase something, it is an affiliate link, and I get a few pennies. So that's my disclaimer, that if you do that, I don't make very much with Amazon. I think last month I made like $3, and that's fine. I don't make that list to make a lot of money. I do it so that y'all can see the supplies that I use. Okay. So I'm just centering that on that panel. And I know it's hard. It's probably a little difficult to see with this black cardstock, and I apologize. But I do love how it pops. Okay, so I just tried my best to center it the best that I could. Okay, and I'm now going to pick another one of my 7 3/4 by 5 3/4 pieces, and center it right here on this panel. I definitely don't want to go over that center crease, or my folio will not close well. So again, if you don't want to use a wet white glue, you could use like a two-sided tape. You could probably use a glue stick if you have a really good one that won't fail on you. And what I mean by that, like, won't peel up in a few weeks, you know. My favorite glue stick is the Yoo-Hoo glue stick, and I've had a lot of really good luck with it. But sometimes, you know, you really got to know what paper you're using, because sometimes it can make it warp a little bit. So anyway, experiment with your different adhesives and then decide what works best for you is my advice. Okay, now if you watched the first video, you know I mentioned like when we had the little tabs holding our flip and flaps, they get sandwiched, you know, so they get covered over. So that's what I kind of meant by don't worry, they're really not going to go anywhere. We glued them down and then we layered paper over top, so we're doing great. All right, now this back panel of your folio, again, it's the same size, 7 3/4 by 5 3/4. We're gonna glue it down. So while I'm gluing, I'm going to do the same thing on the very back cover with my last one. I'll chat a little bit. So first of all, I hope you like my projects. And if you do, I hope you have subscribed to my channel. If not, I hope you'll consider doing that and giving me a thumbs up and a comment. Always appreciated. I was talking with a friend of mine who didn't realize, you know, that I had decided to be an artist full time, right? I'm trying to identify now when someone says, you know, what do you do or what is your job? To say, oh, I'm an artist. I'm a crafter. I'm a small business owner. All of those things. But anyway, she didn't realize I had done that. And so we had a really fun chat, and she's actually considering a big career change too. So now we're talking about maybe doing some workshops together, teach some art classes, do some art therapy, those kind of things. So I'm really excited about that. If we can make it work. She lives in another part of the country, so we'll definitely have to think about locations and logistics with our families and all of those things. But that was kind of an exciting conversation that I had last night. So I guess it's a question for you too, if you're actually listening. You know, do you guys like in-person workshops and like retreats, things like that, where you learn different paper crafting techniques, or you just get to craft with other women that you enjoy? Maybe talk about using, you know, art during these transitions in our lives or for healing. If any of that interests you, or you're like, you know, Pam, that is something I might like to do, let me know, because I really am doing my research and getting ready to start thinking about offering some of those types of events. So I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts and what you think. Okay. All right. The next flap we're going to cover is this one. So you're going to need, let's find the pieces that I cut. I don't really have these in order, so I've got to see which ones fit on here correctly. If I did everything right, yay, it's that one. And maybe this one. Okay, so 2 pieces that are 5 3/4 by 3 1/4. And now what I'm going to do is consider, of course, I picked the front cover, the same paper. Yay! But so that's something, you know, if you really want to lay your papers out and consider, I made sure on this original one that I had a different one, you know, for the cover, for the flap versus the cover. But on this one, I actually did the same paper, both sides of this flap. So that works too. On this one, I'm going to, on the inside of the flap, place the piece that matches my cover. I kind of like that, and I'm okay with it. So we'll glue that one down. And then the other piece that had that pretty, I don't know, kind of peachy coral color to it, we will put that on the front side of the flap. Now I am trying to make sure I use, you know, enough adhesive, get it to the edges, and really lay these down good. And you notice I'm also trying to make sure I burnish and kind of get that glue nice and spread out in there and no clumps. You want it to be lumpy. Okay, so now the second piece to put on the front of the flap. So once you have all your papers cut, it actually comes together pretty easy and quick, and it's pretty, you know, intuitive when you have your papers of where they go, right? I did share on the part 1 of the video a disclaimer to make sure you double check your measurements that I list in the video description, just in case, because I hate for people to cut their paper while they're listening to me talk if I happen to misspeak or don't give the right measurement. I've done that before, and it's awful and embarrassing when I do that, but I hope that that doesn't happen. Okay, so I need 2 pieces that are this size, and this size, you may ask, is 5 1/4 inch by 3 3/4 inches. Okay, so now I just need to decide again which sides I want where. And I think I'm going to put this one on the front of the flap. And I love making a flip flap folio. I have several different videos on my channel, different ones. I've made some like with junk mail. Those are super fun, where you just, your folio kind of ends up being the shape and the size of it based on your junk mail, and what you can trim away, you know, to make a folio. So I know I have at least one video like that. So if you haven't gone back to any of my older tutorials and you're interested, I encourage you to kind of go see some of the other ones that I've done, because you might find something you haven't seen or that you want to try. I love when it's hot outside like this. Well, I always love to craft. You guys know that. But I love to craft when it's hot outside, and it's hard to be outside. Here right now, if you go ahead and get up in the morning, which I do, I'm an early bird, like I can go for a walk and do those things while it's cool enough outside. But when it's getting up to 95, 100 degrees with the humidity here in Virginia, I like my air conditioning inside my craft room. All right, this is my gatefold. So kind of turn your papers and see how you like how they look. I'm going to just do those 2 like that. Okay, so by the way, we need 4 of this size because we're going to cover the front and the back flaps. So these are 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. Let me find, I don't know if I cut 4, if I only cut 2. And that's where I'm going to take my little cheat sheet and update it, because I think I told myself I only needed 2 when I really need 4. So 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. No, it said on here I needed 4. So did I only cut? But did I only cut 2? That's the fun part about this. I only cut 2. So I do have, look at that. I have some of my papers right here that I haven't chopped up yet. Just the little leftover pieces. So I think we're good, and I can cut myself 2 more 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. So I need 3 3/4, and then I can cut it to the 2. So 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. I always double check, because at times I think I'm solid on what I just said the measurement was, and then I chop it in the wrong place. So not fun. 2 3/4. Okay. So that was an easy thing to fix. So now what I want to decide is which pattern do I want on the front of the flap, and which pattern do I want on the back. I think I'm going to do this one. Now, how do I want it turned? think I'm gonna turn it that way. Okay, so again, depending on what papers you choose to use, or if you do decide to use the Summer Elements kit, depending on which ones you print and chop in the different sizes will determine what your folio looks like. So it's one of the things also I love about these projects is every time you make them, depending on what papers you choose to use, they look completely different and fun. All right, so boop, we're going. So another question for you guys, and I'll tell you what our next plan is. I know I've been out of town so much. I'm so happy to be home. I don't really want to talk about going anywhere, but let me know. Do you guys have any fun plans for the summer? Are you going to do a staycation at home? Are you just working all summer? Do you have a chance to visit family or maybe go on a real vacation? Everything's so expensive now. I know I'm talking to my son, and they moved here, and I guess they had gone to the store to just get some things they needed for their new apartment. And he's like, Mom, everything is like twice as expensive as it used to be. And I'm like, I know, honey. I know. It's gotten crazy. But the only big plan, really, we're going to be celebrating, of course, July 4th, where I'm going to cook out a picnic, but with our kids. But wasn't just with our kids, because it's fun, and that's who we like to hang out with. And we're going to celebrate our youngest daughter's 20th birthday and have a family dinner. We haven't decided if we're doing that at home or if we're going to go out, kind of let her choose. But then other than that, we're going to be home hopefully for a while. Nothing crazy happens in our lives. And then the first week in September, so that week of Labor Day, the very end of August and first week of September, we are going to be going to the beach in Florida. So excited. It's one of my most favorite things to do. So, all right. Oh, wait, I should have 4 of these. Let's see. I also only cut 2. Isn't that fun? All right, the reason I need 4 is on this flap, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 panels. And these are 5 1/4 by 2 3/4. So let me cut 2 more of those for us. And they don't have to be the same. They can be different pages, different papers. And I'm going to use this one to help me measure because my little tiny chopper here, my chop doesn't have one of those arms that fold out so that I can do a longer piece. So we're going to use this one to make sure I get it to that 5 3/4. Yeah, 5 1/4 and 2 3/4. Okay. But anyway, we are going to be going to... this year we're going actually back to Daytona Beach. We usually go to Flagler Beach, which is one of my favorite places to vacation. And if life works out the way we hope, where we will retire someday. But we were able to get a good place to stay at Daytona, which is only like 25 minutes away from Flagler Beach. So we'll probably go visit or go to one of our favorite restaurants or something there while we're in Daytona. But let me know if y'all have any fun summer vacation plans. Okay. And the other part of that is I get to see my dad. So that's great. I love to go and see my dad at least several times a year because we live so far apart. Okay. 5 1/4, 2 3/4, you need 4 of these. And so now I'm going to decide what order, I want to put them in. So I think I'm going to make this that front one. Let me make sure though, because some of these, can you open it up? Yeah. So I'm going to put one down on the front flap. And again, when you go back later and start adding stickers or photos or little quotes or whatever it is you're going to do to decorate the folio, some of these, of course, the patterns get covered up and broken up a little bit more too. But this is just giving you the basic idea of how to get one put together. All right, and I'm gonna put, since I have 2 of this pretty corally paper, we'll put 1 here. And then the other 2 will go on the inside part of the flaps. Again, biggest thing is don't go over your where it folds, because if you do, your folio will not fold up correctly. All right, and now these 2. Here we go. And I think one of the best things about going on vacation this year or this summer, being out of town, is our daughter who's home from college was able to stay with Harry and Matt for us when we were traveling back and forth to North Carolina to help my friend who lost her parents. And then when we go to Florida, my son and his girlfriend are going to come because our daughter will be back at college by then and she won't be able to dog sit for us. And now that they're in town and they, at this point, do not have any of their own furry friends, they don't have any pets of their own yet, they're available to dog sit the little Harry and Matt. So it's so nice not having to board them and then worry about them while we're gone. I didn't have that one trimmed exactly perfectly, so it's a little bit taller. It still fits in there, but I wasn't careful with my trimming when I was cutting those quickly for you guys. Okay, so it opens like that and like that. Isn't that cute? All right, now let's add the pockets. That's what we're gonna do next. So let's first do the crisscross corner pockets that are on the back cover panel. Okay, so what you need for this is a square that is 5 inches by 5 inches. Okay, so cut a 5-inch by 5-inch square and then cut it in half on the diagonal. All right, and then you're gonna lay them any which way you want. You can put this one here, you can put this one here. I do kind of like having that at the bottom there, or it can, oh, that looks nice too. Let's do it that way. So whichever way you want them to overlap, because then you have, you know, the big pocket back here, and then you have a little tuck spot there as well. Okay, so I'm going to glue this triangle down first, hold it by the side you want to keep open, and then just add a bead of glue, a line of glue along the other 2 sides of the triangle. And I'm going to bring mine all the way to the corner and layer it. All right. The first part of the pocket, and now same thing. I'm holding it by the side that I do not want to add glue to. And we're going to lay this one down. And I think it looks nice. And you've got a nice big space for, I put a little, like even another little folio made out of book page with some pictures in mine, but there's a lot of real estate in there. You could put some large pieces of writing paper, an envelope, you know, with some stationery in it, something like that. Okay, I also did a pocket, excuse me, a pocket and a belly band. So I think this is the pocket. And then I did this little piece to do like a little center belly band. And then I also cut a piece, oops, not that piece. I cut this piece to be that side load pocket on this panel. So let's glue this one down first. This piece is 7 3/4 by 3 1/4. Okay. And I'm going to put it to the center seam so it loads this way. You could put it this way so that it loads like that. It's your choice. Okay. Again, just hold it on the side. You don't want any glue. And then just put a bead of glue on 4 sides, or 3 sides, 3 sides, 3 sides. If you want, you can make this 2 pockets by adding a bead of glue down the middle, but I'm going to leave it one big pocket. I'm not sure what I want to put in here yet, and it gives me the most options. And you just, again, if you cut everything carefully, it'll all layer on here very nicely. Okay. I'm going to make this into a tiny belly band. So again, decide which way you want your paper turned. And then I'm just going to add glue to the top and the bottom. This little piece is 3 3/4 inches by 1 1/4 inch. So it's a little tiny piece. But a tag or a journaling card that's not too fat will slide right in here. You just want to try to get it straight. All right, and then this piece to make a little pocket that'll load this way is 5 inches by 1 1/2. It says a half, but it's 1 1/2. 1 1/2. I don't even know if you guys can see that. All right, again, hold it where you want to leave it open and add glue to the other 3 sides. All right, like I said, it comes together pretty quick when you have your paper all cut. This one I did come up just a little bit because I've got a little bit of edge here. All right, which I like. Now, I'm not quite sure. I have to think about what was that for. I think it may have just been an extra piece of paper that ended up on my desk. So let's double check. We've got that flap. This flap with a belly band and a pocket, a deep pocket. This one I did turn into 2 smaller pockets, but I left this one open big. So your choice. This flip flap, this flap, and then our gatefold. So I think the last thing that I'll show you guys is the adding the buttons, which we've done lots of times before, and there's lots of videos, but in case you haven't done that, we will add some buttons there, and you can see how I do that. Now, I could have sewn my button on before I laid my back piece of paper if you don't want to see the string through. Sometimes I like seeing the string, you know, I'm weird like that, but that's something to think about. Now, these are some of my vintage buttons, and guys, I have to bring this to your attention. This is so funny. So it's Les Boutons. I guess it's supposed to be looking French, but these were bought at Walmart. I have no idea when, because they were only 10 cents. 10 cents a piece. Look at that. And I bought them at a scrap store, and I don't know, I paid more than 10 cents for those, but not a lot. Ooh, this dark green one's kind of pretty too. This is the bag my daughter curated for me. I have a lot of buttons. This is just a small part of my button collection, but I think I'm going to go, I'm trying to decide. I think I'm going to go with the dark green one. I like that. And then the original one, I did put a button here. Not really, it was really just for decoration. It's not really a closure or anything. So I don't think I'm going to sew a button on the front of this one in the video because I don't know yet, again, how I'm going to decorate this one. So I want to wait, but we'll do the gatefold. And this is super easy. These were $1.10 at the time they were sold in the store, and then were marked down to 25 cents at some point. And I think I paid maybe $1 for all of them. I'm not sure. Okay, so these have the little metal piece that you have to get off of here. And my voice is starting to go. I usually just use my X-Acto knife to help lift that up, or if you have another kind of tool, just so I don't like completely destroy, oh no, my fingernails. I just find that helps me to pull that out. All right. And I'm just going to use, because the holes on here are pretty tiny, we're going to just use a regular needle and thread, which I didn't prep ahead of time. So here's the threads I have on my desk. So I have this kind of natural color thread, and I have a dark brown. I think I'm going to use this natural one. I think it'll be a nice contrast on that darker green button that I have. So we'll see if I can make that work. Scissors. Okay. So I usually go ahead and double my thread. But I guess you could use a single strand. I just find it a little bit easier. And I usually, when I know I'm going to sew in a video, I usually try to have my needle and thread ready to go, but I didn't do that today. So you're going to see me, watch me thread my needle. Okay. All right. Now, I do want to think about where I want my buttons and sort of get them lined up, like how much space I want. Do I want them close to the edge? Do I want them, you know, further out? That's a personal preference. I'm going to leave approximately 1/4 of an inch. So that's about 1/4 of an inch, I'm guessing. And I want my holes to go horizontally instead of up and down. Of course, you can do them on a diagonal. Doesn't really matter. But I'm going to hold this about where I want it. And I'm not going to push the needle all the way through, but I'm just piercing that top layer of designer paper so that I can then use my needle to go ahead and punch my holes through. Okay. And then I'm going to start on the back side, of course, and pull my thread through. I didn't make the biggest knot in the world, but it's big enough that it won't come through if I'm careful. All right, and then it's just sewing the button on. So, let me get it ready. I think these are gonna look so cute. All right, so easy peasy. Now, I'm pretty sure I have a video, and if not, other people do, so you could just kind of search on YouTube. If you don't have buttons, I know not everyone has a crazy button collection like I do. You can make faux buttons out of paper. And so I could have picked one of these pretty coordinating papers that would contrast nicely with this pattern, and decide what size circle I want my button to be, and use a paper circle punch, right? And I'm thinking, like, I think I have one that's like I don't know, it might be like 1/2 inch. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second if I can ever get my needle to go back through the hole of the button. I got a paper punch. I don't know, how big is this? Let's punch a circle and find out. So this one isn't labeled. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 5/8 of an inch. So a little more than 1/4 of an inch. But see, that would be a cute size. You could even go as big probably as a 1 inch. You know, have a nice big button on there. But, you know, pick the design that you want, and you can then use just other paper that you don't care about, just, you know, offcuts of cardstock or whatever, depending on the thickness of your paper, or maybe 3, 4 circles all glued together. So you make like a nice thick faux circle button, and then you could either punch little holes in it if you have a little teeny tiny paper punch, or just sew it on like a button, you know, just put your stitches through. You can even pretend there's 4 holes in the button and do that instead. And if you make it thick like that and it'll lift up a little, you can still do your twine around it to make your closure. Okay. I hope that made sense, me just talking through it, but I'm pretty sure I've made those kind of faux buttons with paper before. So if I can find the video, or if I remember to, I'll link it if you want to make some faux buttons. But if not, just search my YouTube channel or just search YouTube. And I'm sure some other paper crafters have made faux buttons before. Okay, Now, I am going to, again, hold this approximate, or where I want it, and carefully give myself, I'm just going to flip it over because it's going to be easier for me to work on it from this side. So I've got my holes, so I know where they are. And we're going to sew the next button on, and then we'll find a piece of twine or baker's twine or something that coordinates with this to show you how to make that quick closure. So fun. I love using different elements like this in my projects, as it just kind of kicks it up a notch. There we go. And that one turned funny on me. So I said, why is the button's all twisted? And it's because I'm trying to go fast and not holding things steady, because I wanted the button horizontal. All right, there we go. And we'll go through just one or two more times and I'll be done. You can fast forward through this part of the video if you like. I mentioned in another video, I was trying to learn how to do that with video editing. Guys, I spent like a half a day of my life that I will never get back. Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to have to try a different approach. But the program I was using, of course, it said, oh yeah, you can do this. Well, my video, to upload it to the free site, right? And to use the app or the program, because I only want to fast forward through certain sections, not like my whole video. Anyway, oh, well, now you have to pay, you know, like whatever, like $49.99 a month, and then blah, blah, blah. So then I try a different one, and then it lets me upload it, and I'm like, great, everything's fine. And then I do that section, and then instead of fast forwarding it, cut it out. Anyway, I obviously don't know what I'm doing. So more to come on teaching myself how to edit my videos. But for now, I'm just going to tell you, if you don't want to listen to me ramble about sewing on buttons, you can fast forward. Okay, I think I'm going to use just a piece of twine. This is the really skinny kind. The only baker's twine I have at arm's distance is this blue. I know I have a cute green one somewhere that might be cute, but I just don't know. Oh wait, here it is. I don't know. Will that look cute? You know what? I don't think it's the right color green. We're going to go with tried and true. So what I normally do is go ahead, and again, you want to be careful because this is paper, and even though these are sewn on nicely, you don't want to be too rough with it, because you can accidentally, when you're doing this, just pop that button you so carefully sewed on right off of there. So just tie that gently. You can leave this a little bit out if you want. I try to trim it some so the person who's working with the journal will know which end to pull from. And I'm just going to go around those couple of times. Leave a tail. I can trim it off more if I want in a minute, because I'm going to tie a little knot on this end too. It's also fun when you do these like with string, or even with this twine, it's so skinny, like you could put a little bead on here or something if you want to make it even fancier. Okay, so now I think it's pretty clear what they grab to open up the gatefold. Yay, easy peasy. All right, so the only thing left to do now is to decide, you know, what you want to put in here. You could add some little pockets to this flippy if you want. I just added photos. You got a pocket here, your belly band, your big pocket, your pocket on the back panel. So lots of options. Decide how you want to decorate the cover. Lots of options. So I hope you guys like it. I hope you'll make one. Let me know if you do. Connect with me on my other social media accounts and share with me what you've made. I'd love to see. I appreciate everybody watching. And until next time, I hope y'all have a great day.